Hello, everybody. Jay and Nichole back with the Learning Lab podcast for our second episode of the year. Today, we're bringing on Rich Tweten, also known as Teacher Kid Canada. He is an online teacherpreneur coach and also the founder of Your Road to Going Solo. If you don't know who Rich is, definitely you want to listen. And you can probably get into one of his, I know he's got a large following on Facebook and definitely has a lot of good information to say. Nichole?
Yes, well, we're excited to have you here today, Rich. And today we're going to be really diving into some practical, no fluff strategies to help entrepreneurs just kick off the new year, 2025, with some good clarity and focus. So, listeners, as you listen, think about one area in your business where you'd love to see growth this year. Let us know your thoughts, and maybe we'll get some ideas from Rich today. Welcome aboard, Rich.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure being on your podcast. Thanks, guys. Nichole and Jay, it's great.
No worries.
No problem.
Jay, I'm sorry, Rich.
You're the first dude we've had on here.
I know. No, Xavier.
Oh, Xavier, that's right.
Xavier, right? Yeah. As you can tell, we're pretty, we're pretty casual here. So,
I like it.
That's great. I want to know how you got started. I want to know
Yes.
where that transition came from for you.
The transition between online teaching and coaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, because I think some people know how you started as a teacher, but
Yeah.
where did that transition come in? How did that come about?
Sure.
I think that's a really great experience for people to listen to.
You bet. Yeah, thanks for asking. So it was 2018, and I wanted to put together a group with the focus put on finding Canadian teachers because it's Kid Can't Talk English. So I wanted to find some Canadian teachers through this new group that I formed. And I didn't go far with that group. That's when I came up with the idea of helping teachers to develop their own sales funnels, mainly organic marketing. That's what I specialize in, as well. Helping them to set up their social media accounts. Because I've been doing online marketing since like 2002. I didn't get into social media marketing in the beginning, of course, because that's 2002. So it was all Google SEO.
MySpace.
Right.
MySpace.
MySpace, yeah, that was big back then. And so anyways, I wanted to use that past experience to help teachers. And of course, I built my own sales funnel that worked quite well, quite compelling. Kid Can Talk sales funnel. And, I thought that teachers could learn a lot. And there was actually quite a bit of interest when I formed the new group, which is Online Teachers, Even Coaches, Independent, Fulfilled, and Highly Paid. That was December 13th of 2019. So about a year later. And it just kind of caught on, and teachers started to, more and more teachers expressing an interest to start their own e-business because they're just sick and tired of, having to give so much money up to the middleman. And more and more people started to get into it. And I really fell in love with teaching this to adults because I got to use that past experience, and I just regurgitated, get it out to people, and actually see some actual results where you see the websites going up. And I really just got a big kick out of it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, good. So, now what would you say? It's the beginning of the year and not everybody sets yearly goals. But do you think that people should, and what kind of goals should they set? If they're, let's say they're not really teaching solo online. Maybe they're with one of these online schools, or maybe maybe they're just thinking about breaking in. What do you think? How do you think they should get started this year?
Well, you got to take care of your bread and butter, number one. You can't start just putting so much time into a new idea and not teaching as much to make what you need to make to cover your
Mhm.
bills. So you got to it's hard in the beginning because you have to keep making the money you're used to making, without sacrificing too much. You don't want your lifestyle going to hell. But you
Right.
have to take those extra hours when you're doing other things that aren't as important as developing your own company. And you have to
Hmm.
basically just go through your calendar and you have to schedule that time in. Like, even
Right.
if it means you're going to have a lack of sleep, you got to do what it takes in the beginning. So I think time management's really important when, to make sure you have at least a few hours a day, 5 days a week, and
Hmm.
then to work smart and to, set short-term goals like, we're going to first focus on how to put that website together, right? So
Right.
what's the first thing we need to do? And if you don't know, go out there and get the information. Well, you need the content management system. So what's it going to be? Is it going to be Wix? Is it going to be WordPress?
Hmm.
The website, I think, generally needs to come before the app. So focus on the site. You need to get that content management system. You need your web host, right? But before you get the web host, have a good idea about your company name, because then it's
Right.
going to come the web domain
Boy,
name.
that's such
So
a hard thing to find these days, a good name,
yeah,
because
yeah, exactly. And if you
everything you think of is taken.
Yeah,
It's
that can be
taken.
the thing. But the thing is, like, if you're not good at generating ideas, well, then other
Hmm.
people are, such as
Right.
coaches like myself, Nichole, and the more you do something, the better you get. But short-term goals and just doing everything in the right order. And if you're not sure what that order is, do some research. There's a lot of
Hmm.
free information sources online. You can get a coach, for the short term, and just not unrealistic expectations like you can make $100 an hour anytime soon. Maybe if you're doing
Yeah.
group, but come on, especially in today's
Right.
day and age. um,
Well,
You,
long gone are those classes that we used to get back in 2016, 17, and 18, where, the schools were paying you 30, 40 plus an hour, and
mhm.
all
like
they had
Blaine
all,
ABC, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, they're still out there, but man, are they difficult to find or get into, and it's just
sure.
not there anymore. But
Yeah.
what do you see as the biggest mistake that teacherpreneurs or even entrepreneurs make when they're setting new
We're
goals
getting
for their
started.
business? They're getting started.
Well, I think a big mistake is they're just not committed enough. Um, you know, it's really important for people to understand that it's a long-term thing. Like, it's not a short-term thing. Like, you don't get these awesome results overnight. It just doesn't happen that way. Even if you're doing pay-per-click, it takes quite a bit of time to get really good at that. And to actually make a return on investment probably won't even happen. That's why a lot of people do it for testing, like to test like the squeeze page of a sales funnel, for instance.
Hmm.
It's difficult and it takes time. And I think everybody really needs to realize that, just like you had to learn how to become a great teacher, just like you had to learn this curriculum, just like you had to, work and work and work and, improving your conversion percentage in terms of trial classes. Well, it's the same thing with online marketing. It's the same thing with copywriting, with, writing effective posts, coming up with great ideas. It's just, people need to realize that it's like an investment in themselves. And you really want to make sure you're learning from a credible source or credible sources.
You mentioned something a few minutes ago about, how to get started, and, you went through a few things. I wonder what you think about this. Sometimes I tell people, I said, even if you don't know what to do, just do something.
Yeah.
Just do something,
Yeah.
and it will generate other ideas for
Mhm.
what you can work on next as you work through that first thing. Just do something. It
Yep.
doesn't matter what it is, just
Mm-hmm.
do something.
Show up.
Um, right. Yeah, just show up.
Yeah.
Show up
Develop
Honestly.
those habits.
consistently,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because that's what I tell a lot of people to do when they, well, how did you get started? And I said, I just started doing stuff. Well, what did you do? I don't remember, is my answer. Is I don't remember.
But you did something.
I did
And,
something.
you were developing those key habits,
Yep.
such as focus,
Hmm.
just focusing on doing one thing really well, moving to the next, maybe multitasking. But there's a lot of habits, even if you're not working on putting together a business, but, you're developing some of those key habits that are, you utilize when you are
Hmm.
putting together a business, that kind of thing.
Sure. Sure.
I
Now,
would like
what?
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. Jesus,
Uh,
go ahead.
I want to revisit this when you're talking about putting together the sweet squeeze page and,
Mhm.
hosting with having
Yeah.
your website, right? Now, there are two fields of thought on this particular topic. There is the group that says, yes, you absolutely 100% need a website. And then there's the others. No, you do not. You do not need a website. Quit wasting your money there. What do you say to this?
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot
Yeah.
through the group. Um, I think the majority of time when people say they don't want to put together a website, number one, they're just not interested personally. They're just not interested in learning what they need to know. They know it's going to be challenging,
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
um, maybe not as bad as they actually speculate, but I think it has a lot to do with personal interest. And sometimes it's about money, like they just don't want to spend the money. But let's be honest, a web domain is dirt cheap, especially
Few
like through
dollars.
GoDaddy. Web
Yeah.
hosting, even if you have decent hosting, it's like under $10 a month US. So that shouldn't even be a factor, really. You're building a business. So, the way I look at it, I tell people if they're really adamant on not having a website, okay, well, then you probably don't want to build an organic following, right? Because that takes a lot of time and you're probably just trying to do something fast. You want a short-term thing. You want to test the waters and see if you can actually spark enough interest to get some private demos booked. And I kind of
Mhm.
understand that. And direct messaging can work well if you're good at it. However, you need that following. So then I think people definitely need to run a pay-per-click campaign successfully. But I tell people, for the long term, you're in it for the long term. Most people say they are. We don't know for sure sometimes if they are or not. But you should definitely have a website because it just makes you look that much more credible. And,
Yeah.
normally if people buy on the internet, they're looking at things. They don't want to see a Gmail address. They want to see somebody's web domain, right?
Right.
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 Otherwise it looks sketchy, and everybody knows, there's a lot of these Telegram scams and stuff going
Mhm.
on. But if you come to an actual website and it looks professional, well, it's only going to boost your credibility. It's not going to hurt you. It's only going to help. And
Right.
people always tend to want to go to a website when they buy things online. So why would you be any different?
And
I actually agree with this a lot. This is my argument as well. It's even if you don't get any sales directly on your website, it's social proof. I know when
Yeah.
think about your own personal spending habits, your purchasing habits online. Very rare do I purchase anything if there's no website. Now
Yeah.
there's certain exceptions to that because of where I live, but for the most part, we charge a little bit more. It's considered a large purchase.
Mhm.
They really want to see the website. So that's my argument as well. What about you, Jay? What do
well,
you think?
you know, I could see doing it without a website. I have a website. It's a very simple site. It's one
Mm,
page. Took me a couple hours to set up.
Mhm.
It's nothing special, but there have been a few occasions where, I did a trial lesson with somebody and I could tell, they don't know me. They don't, even though I say you can trust me, well, of course, somebody that's going to take your money and run away is going to say, you can trust me.
Mhm.
right?
But having that website, just directing them to it was a lot. It went a long
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
Along with, if they were from China, directing them to my Xiaohongshu page, that helps a lot because
Mhm.
they can see I'm a real person. And that helped a lot too. But I could see somebody doing it either way. I'm not for or against either way. Um, when I first created my website, I went way too big. I mean,
Mm,
way too big. And about 3 months later, I just slashed half of it. I'm like, well, I don't need this part. I don't need
Mhm.
this part anymore. Nobody pays directly from my website. I removed that.
Mhm.
mine do.
Mine don't. Mine, nobody, it's, it's a conversation first. And then I send them a payment link and we're done. And we're done.
Exactly, because you found out through experience what works best for you.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like with what I do. I do really well on like Zoom, meetings such as this. I have
Uh-huh.
a prospective customer, and of course, I'm feeling them out and we're
Mhm.
answering questions. That works really well for me, but I'm also good on audio. So some people aren't good on audio. And of course, a
Mhm.
lot of the time people say send text messages directly. But I've sold on text, very fast, actually.
Mhm.
Um, and of course they know I'm not selling them. They're basically selling themselves on, themselves to me. Um, but that works for me. People need to practice and experiment and find out what really works for them. Some people only sell from their website. I'm
Right.
not sure about this industry, but and apps. What about apps? People buy through apps.
Right.
Google
Right.
Play
Oh
and
my
all that.
God.
It's a large
Lazada.
company,
Do you
but
have Lazada where you live?
Masada.
Lazada.
Lazada or
Oh
It's
yeah, I
like
Shopee.
thought I'm
Amazon.
hungry, so I was thinking of lasagna.
No, it's like the Amazon of the Philippines.
Oh, and
Oh,
Shopee.
I don't know. I
Shoppee's
haven't
like the
checked it out.
eBay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out. I don't know, but I
I,
might
I don't
after
know if you have
this.
it. You're in, where are you now? I forgot.
Cambodia. That's 7 years.
Cambodia.
Yeah,
7 years. Okay.
quite a while.
All right. Yeah. In the Philippines, they have the Lazada. I swear to God, that guy comes here every day delivering
Oh,
junk.
And
really?
Shopee.
Yeah.
Shopee at my house, man. Shopee's like I consider Shopee like the eBay of the Philippines, and Lazada is
Oh,
like the Amazon of the Philippines.
The,
oh, I got you.
Lazada is actually owned by Alibaba now.
Oh,
It is.
Alibaba. Yeah, yeah, big
Yeah.
company. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
And it sells all junk.
Oh
for
well,
sure.
Shopee is like what's that like the what's the QQ tense? Isn't it like the it's China.
10 cent?
Tencent,
Mm,
isn't it connected to one of those people? I could be totally wrong, but I know
I'm
it's what
sure.
it's that group there that they have.
Anyways, we buy
Anyways,
stuff
sorry.
online.
Yeah, a lot.
That was my point.
So could you tell us maybe of a success story of a
Yeah.
teacherpreneur or somebody that
Sure.
you've helped
Sure.
effectively?
Well, I've helped you,
Yep.
but I haven't done everything. That's for sure. You've done most, and you've really taken it up a level and, taken it from there. If people go to your website, Teacher Cole's Corner, English Corner, Teacher Cole's English Corner, .com. But you'll see that it's quite a, comprehensive website. It's not
Yeah.
the normal, smaller website, more simple, easier to put together. And you're using Wix.
Yep.
But really, when it comes to teachers becoming successful, the main thing that I look at is they got a well put together sales funnel. And we know that initially, right?
Mhm.
Because I've already helped so many people to put them together, including my own, and just several different marketing principles that go into play, such as having a video presentation at the top normally, and having one call to action on the squeeze page, and this applies to so many different industries. But Francisca really comes to mind, and that's englishdimensions.com. And the reason why, like, I know she's already got some clients privately, I think mostly through direct messaging the last time I talked to her. And she is running a pay-per-click campaign through Facebook ads. But what I love about her is she still posts organically. And I haven't been coaching her for like maybe close to a year, but she's still doing what she needs to do. And she's building a following. I see the likes going up on her Facebook page, even though Facebook pages are nearly as effective as groups. They're not as interactive, but she's
Mhm.
doing what I basically taught her to do. And that's well crafted posts, consistent, regular, maybe not all video. Video is king or queen, but she just keeps doing what she's supposed to do. And it's hard sometimes. Sometimes it gets slow. Sometimes, like, Facebook groups have been very slow in the last 6 months. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'm in a lot of groups and I just know this to be a fact. But then you see the groups that start taking it less seriously and forgetting about quality and just kind of almost not really giving up, but just kind of pick up and you have to double down, triple down. And
Yeah.
she's just been really consistent. And I know she's going to continue to get clients through the internet, especially as her following continues to increase. So that's really what I look at. Yeah. In terms of
Now,
people becoming successful, it's not just
you,
about money. It's not just about how many clients you get. It's about long term.
oh boy, you know what? You're feeding me questions here.
Yeah. That's my job.
Now, do you think, I will be honest, I will tell you after what I hear
Mhm.
what I hear you say. Do you think making financial goals is wise?
Financial goals. What's that again? Sorry.
Do you think it's good to make financial goals?
Personally, I don't.
Right.
I basically just follow a system most
Hmm.
days of the week. And as long as I don't deviate too far from that system and I stay on track, it's going to be okay for me.
Right. Right.
But I think sometimes people put too much pressure on themselves. Oh, I have to have,
Yeah.
5 clients in the next month that are new and make, 1,000 coming in through that. You're just most of the time setting yourself up for disappointment. It's more
I
about the right habits.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Create a process, trust it, and follow it. Everything will be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything will be fine.
Yeah, and
Um,
you still have most of these teachers still have their side, their not their side job, but their bread and butter, right? Like
right.
whether that's teaching or it's working, offline, doing something in a different industry, they still
Mhm.
have that.
Right.
And what we want is for that bread and butter to be overtaken and a new bread and butter to come into
Mhm.
play that's your own, so to be more fulfilling for you because you'll be more independent. And sometimes people just keep their own business as a side hustle, which is fine
Right.
too. There's no law that says you have to be 100% private.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And on social media, do you, how do I say this without sounding stupid?
So I probably already have.
um, do you find that different platforms, different types of posts work better on different platforms? If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, even if that was true, Um, the thing is, do you want to post far differently on LinkedIn versus the way you post on Instagram versus how you post on TikTok or wherever, Little Red Book? Like, because then it's just going to become such a chore. Because then you have to be
Right.
doing a separate post for each social network when there might not even be a big enough need. But think about how much more time that's going to take versus doing practically the same post everywhere,
Sure.
right?
Because I post a lot on Xiaohongshu, Little Red Book,
Okay.
and
Yeah. Good
I
site.
found that very short, very simple video posts have done better than anything I've ever done there. But the same posts don't work well on other platforms.
Interesting. Interesting. And you've
Um,
tested, which is good.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
you might also discover that the other platforms just aren't even worth it based on, how many prospects you get, if you can
sure,
tell. Little Red
sure.
Book might be the one and only, even though I think people should have backup.
Me too. Me too.
Mm,
Um, and well, gosh, you're just feeding them to me. So, for example, I teach in the same market you mostly do, and Nichole
yeah.
does in
Yep.
Asia. But, during the school months, well, really there's nothing going on during the day. It's all
Mm,
like 4 or 5 p.m. and later.
yeah.
So I want to try and crack into the Brazilian market because their time is opposite of ours. So I
Hmm.
could fill maybe 3 hours during the day there. But
Yeah.
I don't know how to crack it. How does somebody crack into a new market?
Well, I think
Mm.
probably the best way is to know somebody in Brazil
Yeah.
who can actually refer you to people, and maybe they act as an agent so that you can give them a
Hmm.
commission if somebody buys. Like, I think that's always kind of the best way to go about things, or to
Okay.
piggyback off some agent that you just meet, for instance, on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
The good thing about like LinkedIn, is I'm sure there's a lot of those people there. You just have to get out there and start requesting connections, and it's a needle in the haystack. It's like
Right.
tiger mums in China. It's like, how many requests do you have to send before you meet one that's going to
Right.
actually respond to the direct message, if that's how you initiate contact
Hmm.
with them. And it's just a two thumbs up and a handshake, and things just start to work out, and they've got a lot of connections in that area.
Right.
Pay per click also, like Facebook ads, I think, is a good way, because you can be very pinpointed in terms of who you're targeting. Like Nichole's really experienced at that, so you
Hmm.
can attest to that, I'm sure. um but yeah, like LinkedIn, I think, is really good for meeting people, for instance, in Brazil. I haven't
Oh, okay.
targeted Brazil, but I would just use a similar system that I use now.
Uh-huh. Okay.
I
I
know
don't
that.
know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know that, for example, I like to widen my reach as well. And so I do also have clients and students in like Japan and Korea. But both of those markets are extremely difficult to break into. You just have to know the right person, or you have to know more of like the culture behind it to get into it. The same thing happened when I had students from Taiwan. I actually, that what happened, what you talked about happened to me. I had a decent amount of students from there. But I happened to get into a group where I got that one mom who just blasted me everywhere. And apparently she is on social media enough to be respected, where all of a sudden I just got flooded.
Sure.
So sometimes
Little bit of luck, little bit
yeah,
of luck.
sometimes it's a little bit of luck, you know. And I hate to say it that
Not a
way
lot, a
because
little.
I wish it was more based on experience and, you know, proven ability,
Yeah.
educational factors, but a lot of times it's just pure luck.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Look at teachers who work for a company, like I don't know, any of these companies, that have a lot of Chinese, Taiwanese,
Mhm.
Japanese, whatever. And then they're able to take so many students with them. And teachers are like, "Oh, won't you get sued?"
You know how
Well,
many I took?
people do it. Yeah.
I took 50.
Yeah, see, that's the smart thing, like honestly, like if you can somehow do that. But it's not, a lot of people aren't able to do that. But good for you. Yeah. I'm
Well,
totally for it, because a lot of these companies are just
well,
so
they steal from
immoral.
each other. People say, I don't
Sure.
want to poach students. Well, the companies poach
Well,
students.
first
Why
of
can't
all,
Yeah.
you?
they've got the advertising budget that the rest of us
Right.
don't have. It's not like they can't replace them. But
Right.
Yeah.
in my defense, though, in my particular defense, I was teaching during a time where you gave out your social media accounts, like your
Yeah.
Skype, your QQ, your WeChat, and that's how they communicated to you. So they had my information. So when I left the company,
Oh,
they all contacted me, teacher, where are you? And I'm like, I'm teaching by myself. You want classes? I mean, like, and then they
The
passed the word to come to my classes.
the company that I did it to, I guess we'll just call it what it is. It was nice because when the students bought classes, those classes are only with you, and you can see their package when it runs out. You know
oh,
exactly how much they paid and everything. So it was very easy, and you're allowed to give your social media information to them, your
Yeah.
WeChat, your
oh, not
QQ.
now.
If anybody uses QQ anymore, I don't know if anybody does anymore, but all those Line, WhatsApp. Yeah, this was just last year.
Oh, last
This,
year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm sure most companies are like totally against that.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
share your
absolutely.
social media,
Well,
because they're all scared
that's
they're going to lose their clients.
Right.
Well, I mean, well, that's why a lot of them have gone to internal systems. I remember when a couple of
Oh,
them were
yeah.
switching over, and oh man, the logistical nightmare of that when they were trying to integrate that and didn't know how. That was fun. But yeah, like I said, I remember when we did our Skypes. Remember when we did Skype and you had to
Oh
do
yeah.
WeChat and then you
I
had to
remember
do
doing classes on QQ.
QQ.
Voice
I
only.
did
QQ. Oh,
classes
that'd be
on
a
Voice
nightmare
only.
now.
QQ. Oh,
Oh, it
I
was
did that.
awful.
QQ classes, WeChat classes,
Phone classes.
phone classes.
You had
Yep.
to call their phone.
Oh, phone classes.
Skype
Wow.
classes.
They're still
Yeah.
doing those in Korea, actually.
Oh,
Yeah, they still do the phone classes.
Yep.
huh.
Yeah.
They're
And
awful. They're flat out awful. I do not miss doing QQ classes at
oh,
all.
QQ was
Yeah.
so difficult. Oh my goodness. But
I like
at
the candy. I don't like the frickin' app. QQ
Hey,
candy.
I
How?
got I got my account banned. Can you imagine that? I had it for years. I never got in trouble, and all of a sudden, poof.
what did you do? Don't lie.
I sent out a couple messages for students that my old
Mm-hmm.
students, and it wasn't even a lot. I think it was like five, and all of a sudden, poof. And then I had four people verify me, and nobody could get it back. And I was like, bye bye. I got WeChat.
Mine just
Yeah.
disappeared one day. Can't log into it anymore. Just disappeared.
Technically, I didn't even have you know how they sync it to your phone? It was synced to like an old manager's phone from an
Mhm.
old company, but it was my login. It was weird. So if it ever got changed somehow, I never could get it back anyways.
Yeah, I can't get into my account. I tried like a couple years ago or something. I just gave up on it, you know. But this is the thing that people need to realize too. It's like, you know, Jay, you're pretty experienced on Little Red Book.
Mhm.
So, you know, but most people need to, you know, realize that a lot of these Chinese apps and websites are incredibly difficult and
Oh,
they're very new to it. And
right.
sometimes really you only need to have like Facebook or Facebook and
Mhm.
LinkedIn or Instagram and Facebook. You can't, you know, like sometimes some of the WeChat, I had an official subscription account and
How
it got
did
to
you
the
get
point
that?
because I had a Chinese friend, Barry, and
Oh,
he used his ID card for me to get that official account.
mhm.
But, you know, it got to the point where you have to receive an SMS code to his phone in order to log in. Then you
Right.
need to do it again to upload once. Every time
Right.
you upload, they're asking for this dumb code again, even though you already used it once to log in.
Mhm.
And I just got to the point where when, you know, I don't think the benefits are going to be worth the inconvenience and the frustration. So, yeah, people need to really commit to, for instance, Little Red Book. I don't know about Sina Weibo, how that's going for people these days, but it's not automated. And I
I
think you
don't hear
guys may be
people
talking
talk
about it.
about
What's
it.
that?
I don't hear people talk about
Little
it at
Red
all.
Book, I hear a lot.
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah.
and LinkedIn. I think that's really the
But
trifecta right
but
there.
people really need to understand, like, you need to be really good, like you need to develop, you know, skill and experience. You need to get really good at it or you're not going to pull from it.
Mhm.
It's just the way it is. So I tell people really get good on like two networks, right, where you're going to have plenty of people to build your small business, and get really good instead of just saying, oh, I got to be here and here and here and here, you know, Reddit, but you don't really do well at all at even one of them. So it's better to focus on less sometimes, but just get really good at like
You
one thing, like a
you
niche,
you
you know?
you mentioned Reddit. Oh my God, that's a cesspool. I can't. I
Yeah.
try to avoid Reddit at all costs. I
It's
try
It
to
is
avoid it.
frustrating because
such
it
an
takes a lot of
unreliable
time and you have to
source.
read and they have to thumbs up in order for you to rank higher. I just have people coming to the group because I don't
Mhm.
know how people are talking about me, maybe some bad, maybe a lot of good. That's just the way it is you become a little more well known. I'm not like a celebrity, but you know, I'm fairly popular in this industry.
Mhm.
And Nichole, you know, Jay, I'm sure you are too. The thing is, though, you can't control what people say and people do what they want. But I get quite a few people coming into the group through Reddit, and I don't even
Really?
go in.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
consider it
Links to
such
the
an
group. Oh, yeah.
unreliable source. I don't know. I just see so much negative there all the
And
time that I
WhatsApp
don't.
groups. You'd be surprised still.
WhatsApp groups, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've
Or
heard this
WhatsApp
about
groups.
Telegram.
WhatsApp.
You know,
Telegram. I wouldn't
Not
join any
Telegram. Nothing
Telegram
from
group.
oh,
Telegram. Chat
nothing.
GPT.
Oh,
Chat GPT. I got one from Chat GPT. What's going on with that?
oh, yeah, right.
You
I have to
remember
wait
that?
for that.
Remember that
Yeah, yeah.
post I sent you?
Yep.
Yeah.
The
You're
new
there. People
SEO.
is getting listed in Chat GPT now.
Hmm.
That's
Wow.
that's a new thing.
I'm
I
not
was
It's a
waiting for
new
that
surprised.
thing.
one. I was waiting for SEO to basically get the AI version of it. That's where I think it's going, to be honest. I think it's gonna get I think it's gonna really take over a lot more than it already has. Um, but yeah, you know, knowing your sources, I guess, is really important. And I agree with you because I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I want to go on this app, I want to go on that app. And I'm like, man, pick one, master it, add
Yeah.
another, master it. You know, like I don't do anything more myself than Facebook. I do Instagram only because the Meta business suite
It's
will
a dual
automatically
post.
cross
Yeah.
dual post. Otherwise, I would never touch Instagram, to be honest. And like LinkedIn. That's about it, folks. I
Mm-hmm.
might start adding little red books. Everybody keeps telling me about it, but I just figure whatever I do it really well. They're big enough of an audience where everybody's there. Anybody who's
Yeah.
on the little red book is going to be on Facebook or LinkedIn somehow.
Yeah, exactly. And people need to remember they're building a small company. And, you know, once you have, you know, your first influx of students, well, you know, you're going to create a referral program and, you know, people will be talking, even though people like to spread bad news more than good. It's human nature. you're still going to be working those referrals too.
Yep.
Right.
So you don't have to be everywhere. You just have to
So
be not the jack of all trades, but you just need to be really good at like one or a few things in terms of prospecting.
uh, I've been trying to think of something creative for a referral program besides like, well, I give you a 10% discount or I'll give you 3 classes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you
They
have
get
any, do you
tired of
have any
hearing it.
ideas for something creative on that end?
I think like because you don't want to put it all about money, like
Right.
save this
Right.
money. Well, if you get a free class, that's money because normally they're paying for that. I think like competitions can work well, like where you have
Ah,
some
I
sort
did that
of
once.
like a spelling bee for the kids, right?
Hmm.
You know, you brand it under your company, and who knows, that could become like one of the highlights in a Facebook group of yours. But where the kids compete, right? And then the
Hmm.
winner gets like, I think it's okay then to say, okay, then you get 5 free lessons that has a value of this much, but
Right.
you're mixing in the giveaway with something that they have to do and earn in order to get it.
But I'm specifically talking about a referral
Yeah,
program.
yeah. And so that's you'd have to work that in. I was thinking more about that. Sorry. But
Right.
with referrals, yeah, you could just do a competition. Whoever refers the most within the next week wins this or wins that. But you know, you want to give away classes, but not too many. But
Yeah. You don't want to be working for free.
I'd have to put some thought into it, but
Right.
turning it more into a competition where, you know, of course, people feed the referral and make it like a competition where they enjoy referring people or they
Hmm.
enjoy talking about you somehow.
Maybe
And
have a
then they get
leaderboard
their
that
free
everybody
lessons
can
or a
see.
discount on their
Mm.
next order
Mhm.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. I like to do, whenever I do stuff like that, I don't like to give them something immediately. I tack it on their next order. I
Sure.
always like
Now,
to tack it
of
on the
course, you
next
want
one.
that renewal.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. 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 Right.
I once, which I need to bring it back because I was doing it yearly, but during the a lower season and an off time, um I had a competition. It was a writing competition. And I had 3 different levels for the younger kids, the, intermediate and the upper level kids. So the younger ones could turn in more of like a picture type story, but it was a short story they had to do. And the winner got featured on my story time with Teacher Cole.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And so I had done that. And they had the option to join me if they wanted to read it themselves live or to read it with me. So I had done something like that. That went over pretty good, actually. I got more submissions than I thought I would. So fun interactive things. Although my winner decided that she was too shy to come on, and I ended up reading it.
Ah, so that's kind of like, I guess you could say, maybe I'm wrong, indirect referrals,
Mhm.
where it's like, you know, they're on reading time and maybe some others came in to watch who never would have been there if it wasn't for this person who's kind of indirectly referring you to people. Maybe their friends are coming in to watch. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I'm going to start. Actually, it was one thing that's on my agenda personally. So announcement is I've been doing the story time with Teacher Cole for, I don't know, what is that, like 3 years now? More? I think
Oh,
more than
yeah,
that.
quite a while.
Three. And
Consistent.
yeah, so now I do recycle some content, but I still do at least one brand new or live, or pre-recorded. I did a couple of pre-recorded. I'm going to bring back where my students are going to have opportunities to submit stories or articles. That's going to be part of my rotation, is to do something that's a little bit more student based,
Mm-hmm.
that's come from them. I also some of my stories that I've read in the past have been from like new authors and stuff like that as well. So those are really good ways to do some unique things, to bring on some people. Sometimes you've got a parent who might be a budding author or writer, and you can support them that way, which means they in turn support you.
Yeah, collaborations.
Yeah.
You bet.
You know what helped me last year on Xiao Shu? I didn't do it this year, and it was on my schedule to do it, and for some reason I didn't do it. But at the end of last year, I created a post on Xiao Shu, and I had like 6 categories: most improved, most fluent, and I put their picture up with the parents' approval. And
Yep.
I pulled in like 3 students in one day from that post.
Wow. That's
And there
great.
was no talking, no video, nothing. And that didn't cost me any time for free classes. I didn't have to give anything away. I just had to create the post. I had like a most fluent, most improved, best grammar, a bunch of stuff like that. Bunch of
Yeah.
stuff like that. It worked
So
really
no
well.
demo classes?
Oh,
What's
Did
that?
you
free.
have to do a
No.
demo for them, like a free demo?
Well, these were my regular students. I made the post for about my regular students, but
Yeah,
it brought in
three.
three.
And did you give
They
them a demo? Did you do
Oh
a
yeah, they
trial
were
class?
they all bought. They all
Or they
bought.
just straight to the regular
Oh
lessons?
no, we did a trial and then they
Oh,
bought.
gotcha.
Yeah. And I do free trials. I know some people don't, but I do. But
I think 9 times out of 10, it's best to do a free trial, especially
yeah,
these days. If you're
and
Man,
if
I
you're
am
if you're going to be doing
so
kids,
fundamentally against that. I mean, I end up having to do it, but it irks me
that's
so
fine.
much because people don't realize it takes me so much more effort to do a demo lesson than a
Yeah.
regular lesson.
but I don't really care about $10 or $15 or what. I don't really care about that. I
No,
want
but
the whole
it's
thing.
I know, but it's just it well, see, I have teachers on staff though. So I'm
Mhm.
actually out of pocket for that. So I have to
Yeah.
pay them for that. So
Do you
that's a
know
little
what this
different for
is?
me.
Yeah.
Do you know what this is?
Oh yeah, bite me.
Just checking to see if you knew what that
Just
was.
check it.
If you don't, I can explain it to you.
Well, again, there's like general rules of thumb, and
I end
some
up giving it
people,
away though.
it's about what works for you. It's about and you need to test and you need to experiment and you find out what works best for you. And you know, that's why with coaching, I always say now, well, I've been saying it for a while. It's like you're the boss at the end of the day. I'm just giving you my advice.
Mhm.
You can take it or leave it, and you're going to end up doing what you want to do. And you have to trust your intuition too. Like in business, sometimes, you need to make a change, and maybe you'll target the parents of younger learners a lot less and put that focus on to adults, maybe a totally different focus specialty that you're going to ignite that they're gravitating towards, but you're changing the focus now because your intuition and the way things have been going, and the market or whatever is just screaming at you to do that. But you can't trust other people to tell you that. You have to sometimes just listen to yourself and just, stick to your guns and just go for it, maybe in a different direction sometimes. Business is
What,
kind of like a crazy straw. Mm-hmm.
yeah. What would you tell a new teacher, somebody that's just going private, and somebody contacts them for a trial lesson, and it's the student maybe isn't in their wheelhouse. Maybe it's a 3-year-old and they don't like to teach that age.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're starting, I think most teachers are going to take anything that comes their
Yep.
way.
Yep.
Would you recommend against that?
Yep.
You would
Yep, I would just
recommend against.
refer that student's parent,
Mhm.
the parent of the student, to another teacher through my network,
Okay.
and then you could also just set up a side hustle through that. If that's going to happen often enough, where they pay you a commission on the first package bought, something like
Mhm.
that. But yeah, you don't want to. It's like the problem with working a lot of schools is you don't really have a choice who you're going to teach.
Right. Right.
And that's a big problem. I've always disagreed with that because you know what? The customer isn't always right. Sometimes personalities just collide. It just doesn't work. I've been in that situation before, but you're kind of forced, to teach this person. It makes no sense.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's one of the great things about having you can pick and choose who you want. Do
Yep.
the demo if you don't want to teach that person for more than one class, and just give that person up, because you're going to have a better chance by passing them up early that they're actually going to buy by somebody that you refer to them.
So how does
Mm-hmm.
the teacher tactfully relay that to the parent? How do you guys, you got to be tactful when you relay that to the parent, because
I've done it a few times.
I would just politely say, oh, my schedule's really busy these days. It's probably the case anyhow. and
Right.
I know the times that you want, and I just can't accommodate you, but I know a great
Right.
teacher who can, and I already know of that teacher, and he likes taking on those types of students.
Okay. Okay, cool.
And then I'm doing that parent a favor by giving them a good referral instead of them
Right.
having to shop around.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's a service. You bet.
All right, cool.
Yeah, don't teach anybody you don't want to teach when you're private,
You
just
know,
to
though,
make money. You'll get another one coming through the door.
Sometimes you don't know you don't want them until the third or fourth class. So I just don't renew their packages.
That's true too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's true too. And then, you can give a refund. But we don't like doing that, so struggle through. I hope that you're not buying a package of 100 classes.
5%.
1,000
5%.
classes.
I know.
We only got another 10 years.
Oh,
it'll be okay.
No. So what are some mindset barriers that you think are often holding back some new teacherpreneurs?
Like in terms of building the business?
Well, it's
Anything.
hard to go from that mindset of being the teacher in the classroom, not having to find students, to now going solo. So there's a mindset barrier switching into that,
almost like a employee boss.
Yeah,
it's
like crossing that barrier from that, employee mindset to being the owner mindset.
Right. You have to be able to treat it like a project. And you have to also smell the roses, because, I know some of these creative profile companies, are good. However, there's a lot that aren't good. And like, for instance, what's that one company called? Palfish? And you have to you have to follow so many people and spend the time doing that. And what are you going to make, like peanuts? And the thing is, how much time do you have to put into marketing yourself? But when you're marketing yourself, and you own the show, you can set your prices. There's no middleman, besides the payment gateway. So you're going to make that much more, and you're going to have more fun doing it, and you're going to get skilled at online marketing, So I don't know. I tell people, deal with it as the project it is, and you're getting better, and that's increasing your value. Because if you look at any company like online, like it's all about online marketing.
Right.
You can even have a really crappy product. What percentage of people are going to ask for a refund? Most aren't even going to use it. You have your own business. So treat it like that. It's just another project, and get into it and make it interesting, and love making those connections. And I just think then it's not a chore nearly as much. There are certain things you won't like to do, when it comes to your own business, because there's lots of different things you have to do. But yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
We all suck eggs at some point.
Like, I don't like commenting and link dropping. I still do it though in other groups. That's how actually I got my group to like the first 2,000, 3,000. But I still do it. I hate doing it. I have a way about it, but I hate it. I just don't want to do it, but it's there. I found a way to make that one thing, or it's not one thing, there's several things that I don't like to do, more feasible. I don't say I got to go and comment and link drop in X amount of groups in a day, X amount of posts. I just say, well, let's just do it until I kind of, I'm burning out, and I'll keep track of what group I'm at. Then I'll go to the next group, and maybe that day I'll be more into it. And I just keep going and going and going. So yeah, I don't know if that helps, that information there, but there's always something about a business you don't really like.
I hate the link dropping. That's the one I actually had to get a VA to do it for me.
You want a VA for that?
I couldn't do it. The VA had to do it for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I know that's terrible. That's terrible.
It's fine, I like doing all my own stuff still. Yeah, it's bad.
It's hard.
You've done well.
To give it
Nicole's
up.
done really well with the VA, and she's a sweetheart. That VA of yours, I've talked to her quite a bit.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. I like her a lot. If anybody's looking for one, Ikra.
Hey, it's all about referrals,
right? Yeah, no, she's pretty good. She was a good find for me. She's somebody that you can train and give videos to do exactly what you want. she does the stuff that I just can't do. And you know
Yeah.
me, I don't do link drops. That's just not it.
Yeah. Mundane.
Mm-mm.
It's mundane.
So I want to know, what is your best New Year's resolution for budding entrepreneurs, teacherpreneurs looking to grow their business this year?
Well, number one, I think most people break their New Year's resolutions. And I think as we get older, we don't really take them too as seriously. We just kind of go with the flow more. But for the new people getting started, remember, what percentage of all teachers who do pay-per-click marketing where you're paying, to get people messaging you, going through to your website, liking your page, what percentage actually make a profit? Very low, especially teachers, because it's not really as much their cup of tea. They're not online marketers, SEO experts. So you got to be very, common sense approach, rational. You need a following. So just what I would say is set the goal of building that following on LinkedIn. You can't go wrong on LinkedIn. You just can't go wrong on LinkedIn. Build a following in a few, what we already know are more than decent social media accounts. All right. Instagram, most likely for a lot of people as well. And, Jay, yeah, you're on Little Red Book. Perhaps if you're targeting the Chinese and the mainland, I don't know, Taiwan too, right?
A little bit. The I've never pulled a new student from Taiwan on Little
Gotcha.
Red
It's
Book,
Line.
China.
That's
but
line.
a lot of the parents that I have in Taiwan, they also happen to have Little Red Book accounts, so they follow me. But
Right.
I've never gotten a new student on Xiaohongshu from Taiwan.
Right. Gotcha. So basically, yeah, just start building that following on social media and make sure you've branded yourself right. Okay.
Mhm.
So you should have your company name, you should have your company slogan, your
Colors.
handle, right? The unique selling proposition. You should have a winning profile picture of yourself. You should have a cover image, a rectangular cover image. Like, you got to set up a really good profile. You don't want to be talking about, I worked here at Data ABC, I worked
Right.
here, I worked there. You don't want to look like a worker with a ring around your photo saying available for work, because that looks needy. So you have to set yourself up as, yeah, you've been in the industry since this long. Well, for all anybody knows, you've been working for your own company that long. You don't have to say that though in
Right.
such a way. It's marketing, right? So build that social media following, build the habit of requesting connections and friendships, following consistently is so important. And then, start getting into building your own site, or do it at the same time and start learning about WordPress or Wix. Start learning, do some videos on how to make a squeeze page, right? What are the most important aspects from the top down? Get immersed in it and just start building what you envision, and realize that if you want help, good help, it comes with the price tag. Just like you, when you're giving online English lessons, do you want to do it for free? Anybody who does it for free, like, you can get lucky. You can get lucky, but you will be getting lucky. Like, you want good help, and you don't want to have to
Right.
make all these mistakes and come back and repair it all again. Just get started and focus on building the following in your profile and learning how to post effectively, because that's how you get the organic traffic as you build your sales funnel, and learn how to direct message right too. So there's some different facets, but just get
Sure.
started. That's the main thing. And just keep going.
Just do it. Just
Yeah,
do
just do it.
something. Do
Just
something.
do it.
If you don't know what to
Do
do,
it.
just do it.
Very good. Well, you heard it here, you guys. You heard it from Rich. Be consistent.
All of us.
Get online, but sometimes having those processes and the systems in place are important. And if you are unsure how to do that, getting help or finding a professional, someone who can, guide you along the way, even for the short term, it pays off in the long run. I will admit that is how I know Rich. Rich helped me. I was a year into going solo and I knew things weren't going so well. So I actually met him when he first started transitioning into his coaching. And I've gotten his help since then. People think I've done it all by myself. No, I realize that sometimes You need somebody to show you the ropes. And actually, that's how me and Jay met. I ended up going to coaching as well, and I helped Jay out. And Jay has helped out many people as well.
To be, I don't know, to be straight here, I also had some help from Rich in the beginning as well.
You did, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And Rich,
And yeah.
How can people find you?
Yep.
Oh, well, I'm fairly easy to find on Facebook through the group.
What's your group name?
It's a long one. Online teachers, even coaches, independent, fulfilled, and highly paid with an exclamation mark on the end. But if you just type in online teaching
in the comments or in the description.
Or just do a Facebook group search and just go online teachers. I'm near the top. I think it's might not be the largest population, but I think out of all the going solo related groups, it's probably one of the largest. But I've looked at a lot of the other ones, and of course I'm biased, but there's a lot, like I put a lot of time and energy into trying to make it like diverse enough, like in a lot of good information. I don't take AI, even though I think AI has its place, but I try to get all that information from my past experience from my head. And I'm trying to get more people to share posts too. So sometimes I'll even draw a good post from another group and I'll reference that person and I'll invite them to mine and I'll just quote them just to get more people hopefully posting, because it's hard to get people posting and you know, we have fairly good engagement, but yeah, I find that the tough thing. But yeah, I'm pretty easy to find. Do a Facebook search, look in comments of this video post, guys. You can come to my website, kidcan'ttalk.com. And the doorway page is Your Road to Going Solo. And you can get a lead magnet there. That's what we call it as online marketers, where there's all the intro videos to my winning process. That's the system that people go through when they build their own website and social media and pay-per-click and all that. And yeah, it's free. You know, you can you know, taste that out, and it's a good overview. So I think that's important, just to get it into your head before you actually, you know, make that decision to start building your own site. You know, make sure you're ready for that, because it is a commitment, and you'll love that you did it, because, you know, you'll make that much more for your time slots. That's for sure.
Well, we will definitely be adding all of this into the description, possibly into the first comments, if we can get into that after it goes live, so I can remember to go into it and do that. But yeah, you know, you guys, if you found anything helpful today in our episode, you know, share with other entrepreneurs and teacherpreneurs, you know, in your network, so that way they can have the same strategies. I know for a fact that free video series that Rich has curated over a couple of years, actually, he's really worked on it and keeps it up to date. So, you know, it's definitely a really good resource. So thank you again, Rich, for coming on. We really appreciate all your wonderful insights. I think you have a great wealth of information to provide for new teachers starting out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
That was good.
And if you guys are interested to come back next week, we're going to be tackling an even more overlooked but vital topic of mental health in the online teaching field. So join us as we host a panel of experienced online educators who will share their personal stories, challenges, and strategies for maintaining well-being in a virtual teaching environment.
That sounds great. Can I have one more thing? Just one more thing?
Sure.
I'm looking forward to seeing this. I love that you have this podcast. This is awesome. I love podcasts. I wanted to add, like, with yourself and Jay, you know, like, people have to realize it's not just about having a coach and a magic bullet. Like, you really have taken the initiative, and like, it's not about the coach chasing you, you know, to send an email. It's about you chasing the coach and you really being into it. That's so important. And that's what you've done. I know, Jay, you've done that. And really, like, that's what you're so passionate about it. And that's why, you know, it happened for yourself. So I really wanted to add that in. And one last thing about my bonus, I forgot to mention, there is a bonus video where I put all the updates. Okay. So there's like 11 normal videos, and I put all the updates in the last. Okay. So I continually keep it updated, and I send that out to people who subscribe. Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, you're
No
welcome.
problem.
We're very, very happy you came on. I know it's very late for you, and we really appreciate it.
It's all right. I love it.
All right, you guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Don't forget to hit that share button, and we'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.
Peace. Bye-bye.
See ya.